Hello, welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm lucky to be joined by Connor McNeil of Jumpsuit Group. How's it going, Connor?
Man, it's going well, and it's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor, I'd love to just start this off and learn a little bit more about you and your agency.
Yeah, for sure. So my agency is called Jumpsuit Group, and we're a digital marketing agency in the insurance world. We work with independent agents of all sizes, and really the way that we frame it is we're handling everything digital for them, from their website to social media, SEO, Google Ads, cross-selling, anything that interacts with a customer, whether it's an existing customer or kind of a new prospect. That's what we want to handle for them.
Wow, nice. I had this very short stint as an insurance agent selling
Ah, no
like
way.
fence and a mortgage protection and all that. And yeah, it was a short stint, not long. It's funny because you get into that world and there's a lot of those IMOs and whatnot that you just go through their system and the best way that they work is just by buying leads. And I've had experience calling those leads and it's just not a great experience. I think some people are able to make it work. So you guys really come in and you have something that's geared toward that agent. So I'm assuming that these leads that you guys provide, I mean, obviously you guys must do a great job and these guys are usually a lot more ready to buy. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think we do a pretty good job. Obviously, I'm biased, but the way that we operate is less like a lead purchasing system, probably what you've experienced.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we we do it like HubSpot has designed and coined the term inbound marketing, but we were really started as an inbound marketing agency for agents where we would essentially get them ranking on Google and try to capture a lot of that bottom of the funnel search volume, search traffic, people looking for policies. And it worked really well and continues to work really well for our clients because insurance is inherently a dinosaur industry, right? Like everyone's old, far behind. So like the concept of SEO to them was brand new, and to a lot of agents is still brand new. So
Yeah.
like, what we do is basically get them in spots where people are searching, and that seems like a pretty obvious thing to do. But to them, they're like, "Oh, this is great. We love it."
Yeah. No, it's so much better. That's what I mean. I mean, everybody's used to buying leads, I think, in that world as an independent agent. And so I remember thinking like, man, if I could run ads of some sort, or if I had something where they were coming to me, like this would make my life so much easier. So it's really cool that you guys do that. And I know you've carved out this unique niche. What initially attracted you to work with insurance agents specifically? And what are some of the unique challenges and rewards of the market?
So you hear it a lot in the insurance industry, but people just fall face first into it. And they're like, we don't know how we ended up here. And that's exactly what happened with us. I graduated college in 2013 and we started Jumpsuit Group in 2014, maybe the beginning of 2015, and happened to have 4 or 5 insurance agents as a client, right? Like I came over from another marketing agency. We had 4 or 5 of them and we got a presentation at one of their conferences, ended up with another 4 or 5. And partner's dad, Scott, or Scott's dad rather, he came downstairs one day. We were working out of his basement, like a classic startup thing. And he heard what we were doing and he just looks at us. He goes, listen, guys, I don't give a shit what you do. You guys are insurance specialists and that's it. You're going to stick to the insurance industry. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of problems that need to be solved. And sure enough, he was right. So that's how we got into it. And then one of the bigger problems we run into in the industry is that it's a really boring industry, right? So it's a bunch of old guys, or was a bunch of old guys. I think it's starting to turn a little bit, but it's a bunch of old guys selling a really boring product. So when you go to compete with selling surfboards, sunglasses, like fun widgets, like it doesn't work the same way on
Yeah.
social media. The brands don't work the same way. The people are all in suits and ties and all that. But when we were 22 and 23 years old, we didn't really know anything about corporate America, about being a business owner. So we would just walk in and be these young guns, which brought a little bit of life to when we go to conferences, to the way that we branded ourselves in an industry where everything was just boring and bland.
Yeah.
So we run into that in marketing sometimes when we're trying to market an insurance agent. But in terms of what we do, I think we're pretty good at spicing things up.
That's awesome. It sounds like it. I mean, you could tell from your background and all that stuff. It's the industry needed some young people, and more young people are coming into it, especially with the rise of these. I think they're called IMOs. I'm not sure. I may be saying that term wrong, but wherever you recruit agents and all that stuff. But it's becoming a little bit younger. People realizing that, hey, listen, I can actually make a full time income from being an agent. And then once you make that jump into digital marketing from there, it's such a cool opportunity. So that's such an obvious gap in the market, and a lot. Oh, it's so interesting that not too many people have kind of crossed over on the agency side, have crossed over to like, man, I can do a lot of work here.
For sure. You're starting to see it now where there's agents that have figured it out and are doing their own Zap connections and
Yeah,
connecting. There's a lot of good pieces of insure tech that have been built recently, but one of the biggest problems that we're starting to shift into is connecting all of it, right? Through integrations and APIs and all that. But you've seen agents do it themselves because they're savvy enough to know if I connect these three things for my agency, it's going to save us X amount of time. And those are the ones that the systems they've set up, I feel like are very valuable if they ever wanted to step into the consulting space or reseller space, the product that they built for their own agency. That would be pretty cool. But it is one of those things like agents, I think, get really comfortable. They build their book of business. It's a great way to make a bunch of money that just keeps recurring. And I'm not sure if they want to step out of that at any point because they just
yeah,
keep at and do it.
that's true. Yeah, it's hard to get out of it once it's like what's coming in, and that there's a easy input to output thing that you can always do to make some money for yourself. And so I know that you co-founded Jumpsuit Group with two of your best friends from high school. And I guess I'm curious, how has building a business with close friends impacted the company culture? And what advice would you give to others considering starting a business with their friends?
For sure. That's a great question because when we started this thing, we were just kind of like, we were 22 and very optimistic and not very good at anything. Like we started it in Scott's basement and Scott was working at Tesla. Dan was working at Coca-Cola, and I hit them up and said like, hey, my marketing agency just folded. I have a couple of clients. We can start a quote unquote profitable company right now, like $3,000 a month coming in, something super small. And they both quit their jobs. And I handed them, I think the book was Inbound 101 by Dharmesh, one of the founders of HubSpot.
Mhm.
And the first week of our company was them just reading the book and me teaching them inbound marketing, everything I knew.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a weird, like we got to learn how to do what we're about to sell, right? And do what we're about to actually do for clients. But when we were doing it, one of the things that we always held true to was if we're not having fun, then we shouldn't be doing this because we're going down this path where it might fail. And for most of the time we're doing it for the next couple of years, we're going to be making a lot less money than we would if we went out in the corporate world. So we always had this underlying principle of we got to make sure that we put our friendship first, and we always got to make sure we put fun first, because if we're stressing ourselves out, we're kind of doing it wrong. And props to Scott and Dan, like we've been so good at communicating. And that's again, back to the question you asked, what, what advice I'd give. You're just over communicating on problems, ideas, visions, because you and your friends are your friends for a reason. And when I think when money starts getting involved or people's egos start getting involved, that's when you start to see kind of traits outside of friendship evolve. But if you can always have the conversation as friends, that's how we always approach it. And it's worked out pretty well. We also lived together literally until last year. So from 2000, call it 15 until 2023, we lived together and worked together, which is like unheard of because at that point you're basically married. You're doing everything all day together and never escaping. So that had to be it, right? It's just over communication and never putting your ego or an extra couple $1,000s ahead of your friendship with the people that you've eaten a lot of dirt with.
Yeah. Well, I love that you guys came to that conclusion of like, hey, we're always going to put our friendship first. I mean, business has ruined so many friendships, or bad business has ruined so many friendships and I think a lot of people don't have that conversation with their friends. They're like, hey, no matter what happens, our friendship is going to be first. People were raised different ways. They've got different priorities and whatnot. So it's really cool that in your case, it worked out, especially doing everything together. That's like basically owning a business with your significant other.
Yep, 100%. And we were bootstrapped, so we never took on any investment. And I think we were very comfortable growing at whatever pace we were growing. And there was never like, and maybe it was for ignorance that we had and lack of traditional business knowledge, but we were never really numbers driven. We were always like, oh my God, we can just give ourselves a raise now. Like the small concept of being able to make a little bit more money on our paycheck was amazing. Or like we had one meeting in particular where we had signed a lease in Boston to move out of our parents' houses back in like 2016 or whatever. We had signed the lease. We could not afford the lease based on the money we were making. And we went to a meeting and got a check written to us on the spot by a guy who was like super old school insurance agent. He's like, what's it going to cost? We told him the price. He wrote the check, handed us the check. And that client and that check was the reason that we could move into the apartment the next month.
Wow.
So like when you have those types of moments, I think it kind of bypasses like your feelings of like, oh, we could be doing better if so-and-so is pulling his weight or whatever the narrative you build in your head was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole like, I mean, this is like the whole principle of where, like, for example, the Navy SEALs Brotherhood is based off of. I don't know why that example just came to mind. Right? But when you go through hell with somebody, you know what I mean? And it makes you that much closer. And that's like the whole purpose of like their training program, Buds, is like put people through hell. So like now you guys have this amazing story where you guys like really were down, because it does feel like that sometimes, right? Building a business feels like it's like sometimes it's really not great. Like it's really, your lows are low and your highs are high, but those lows can be really low. So going through that with your friends is, I mean, that creates that unbreakable bond, right? And I want to talk about your lifestyle freedom aspect really quick, because I know that creating a business for lifestyle freedom is a goal for many entrepreneurs, but not all achieve it. And so I guess I'm curious, what were some key decisions or strategies that allowed you to design a business that truly provides freedom? And how do you guys keep that vision alive?
So we've been working remote since we started. So everywhere that we lived, we would just work remote, and we'd have a WeWork in Boston. That was our official business address. So it was in our DNA or living in Maine or living in Boston or traveling. We were always kind of working. So that just got ingrained into us that no matter where you're going, you're kind of always on, but you
Yeah.
can be anywhere doing that. And the second part of it is like, we got really lucky getting on the whole MRR train before that was like the SaaS smart thing to do that all the VCs want to see in investment and all this stuff. Like we just kind of, we somewhat guessed, somewhat saw a couple of things at like HubSpot inbound and got guidance from them, but still like no one ever sat us down and was like, for you guys to grow this company the right way, it needs to be monthly recurring. And I think the idea of like building into your DNA that you can do it from anywhere and having clients that you can rely on the same income coming in year, like month after month or whatever, that's a really interesting combination because it takes a lot of the stress out of it.
Yeah.
Kind of can forecast, and you can know that you can live anywhere doing it.
Mhm.
Then the third piece of it is we have very adventurous people, right? Like the short version of the story is like we bought a house together, and while we were gutting the house, we were working on the company. We were living in tents in the backyard.
Oh,
Well, the type of person that can live in a tent, shower with a hose, and then run a company during the day, like we just happen to have three of those on the same page. Where like some people wouldn't be comfortable like going from drilling in like a 2x4 and then like quickly washing your face and then going to a Zoom call, right? So there's some sort of inherent trait that all of us have where we were just like down for whatever it took.
yeah.
And that helped us stay that path.
That's awesome. It's hard to find that quality in one person, let alone three people. You know what I mean? So that's really cool. And you had some early entrepreneurial experiences, right? And so I'd love to hear some of those and like as a kid and how those experiences shaped your mindset and approach to business today.
For sure. I think it's one of those things. I'm not saying that I'm anywhere close to the best entrepreneur ever, but it was something I did since I was super little, just like shoveling driveways,
Yeah.
selling candy to the little kids on my street, lemonade stands. But the thing where I was like, holy shit, this is way better than working for someone else was our school, I think my freshman year or sophomore year of high school, ended up banning soda. And they put in a really crappy secondary product called like Izzy or Fizzy or something like that.
Mhm.
That tasted terrible and no one wanted it. And so I would just go to BJ's or Costco or whatever and buy 36 packs of Mountain Dew and Pepsi. And instead of bringing books to school, I would just fill my backpack with 36 cans of soda. And every day I would make $36, right? Like
Yeah.
it was clockwork because I'd walk into lunch and as soon as people knew that I always had soda, I was just selling $1 soda. And that was basically my job, right? I would sell soda throughout the entire school year. I'd work a little bit during the summer, like landscaping here and there. But that was essentially when I realized, oh my God, if you do this for yourself, you don't necessarily have to listen to anyone else and you have a lot more time to do all the other stuff you wanted. Right. And that was it. That was kind of like my big introduction to entrepreneurship where it clicked in my brain, right?
So funny. It's so funny how we have those. I have a very similar story where candy was banned in my school and I used to sell candy to everybody at my school. But he wanted candy at lunch. And so I was like, cool, I'll just go. I'd have my mom take me to Sam's Club and we'd buy bags of candy and I just stuff them in my backpack and sell whatever I could. And figuring out which people like what types of candy and which people don't. Like I'd just be sitting there analyzing it. Or flip iPhones, like, because the iPhone 3 came out back in like 2008 or 9 or something like that. And I would just always be trying to it was like really popular. And I saw it and I'm like, oh my God, Craigslist. You just go to sketchy places, meeting sketchy people and trying to sell. But it's those things that really like, when you look back, you're like, I know that I can always I know I have the skills to fall back on something. It doesn't matter what my vehicle is. I know because of those early experiences, once you make that first like dollar or two, when you're alone without anybody's help and you're young and all that stuff, man, it like kind of lights fire under you and you're like, I can do this.
For sure. And it sounds like you didn't even think twice about it. You probably thought, why isn't anyone else doing this? Like, it was so obvious to you. We're going, everyone wants an iPhone. I can get iPhones. I should just be the guy that gets everyone the iPhones, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Or whatever it is. And I think that's what makes probably you the business person and entrepreneur you are, and myself and Dan and Scott, they had similar backgrounds where like Scott was pulling milfoil, which is an invasive weed, out of the pond.
Uh-huh.
Hasn't got like town grants to do that when he was in high school, right? Where it's just like, who the hell thinks to actually get the milfoil out of the pond? Like everyone just wants to go on a boat and drink beers on the pond. Was it like snorkeling with ribbons to tag them so the scuba divers can come in and rip them out? And so it is like, I think it's almost second nature where you just, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And if it's not second nature to I don't think any kids listen to this podcast, but potentially listening, the formula is pretty easy. You just look at the market, they think about what everybody wants, and you think about what you can provide and where you can do it. And then you go provide that product or that service. And if you can keep looking in the market for those types of things and start analyzing society in that way, that process becomes a lot easier. So I do think at one level, you're right. It's definitely second nature to people like us and to some other entrepreneurs and to other people. Like they might need to just be trained to think that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think people can build a business either way. And so, yeah. Well, Connor, man, this is awesome. I love talking entrepreneurship with you. I love hearing about your agency and the business you guys have built for yourselves. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people find out more about your agency?
Jumpsuitgroup.com, or you can check us out on Instagram or LinkedIn. Just search Jumpsuit Group. Exactly how it sounds. We just rolled out a podcast as well, so this will probably be on there. And we got clips, and we're featuring either clients or people who have done some really cool things in the space where, kind of like yourself with this, I'm trying to get them to share one or two things that could help someone else out. That's whether it's an early insurance agent learning from an insurance agent who's succeeded already, or someone who's tactical with sales that someone who's trying to learn a couple of new skills can learn from. That's the goal of what we're trying to do. So
awesome.
Yeah, check us out there.
Wow. Cool. Yeah. And I'll have everything linked in the show notes below. Connor, thank you so much for being on. This is great.
Dude, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks.